Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Top 5 Saturdays Live with me, Chase Lee, and my co-host,
Brian Sutfield.
That's fucking right. And hey, listen, guys, if you're new to this show, welcome. I don't know why you made that weird left turn on the internet and came across our podcast, but yeah, welcome. This is a show where we take movies coming out on Fridays, and we will take an actor, actress, director, genre, what have you, and we'll make a top 5 list according to whatever the subject is, and we will we'll make a top 5 list. And the cool thing about this show is that it's live, so we have no idea what the hell's going to come out of our mouths, and we don't know each other's list. So that is the fun. That is the fun, ladies and gentlemen, that we just have. The kookiness just ensues. So, Brian, how you doing? How you doing this week?
It's a chaotic weekend. Lots of entertainment stuff going on in my life. How are you?
It is a busy weekend. Believe it or not, this is the first one out of 4 for me. Shows that we got to do this week, so it's going to be crazy. Yeah. So, hey, it's Oscar weekend, so I mean that's the cool thing about it. And what better way to honor the subject of our show, who is a Oscar darling, and she brings the gravitas and the Oscar caliber performances to every movie that she's in, even if it's crappy. So, Brian, who are we doing this week?
Well, in reality, I would love to do this person, but the person that we're honoring this week is Kate Winslet in honor of 999.
Kate Winslet, okay, everyone that grew up in the 90s, let's call it like it is. The first time that we saw her was in Titanic. Don't look at me wrong, because you know that's fucking true. Titanic was the very first time I was exposed to her, and quite literally. And I remember when I watched that movie, same with Leo, I was like, these two cool cats should be in movies together. And I love the elegance of Kate Winslet. I just love her in general. When you put her in a movie, you know that you're going to get 100% commitment, and you know that you're going to get like one of the best performances in that movie just by adding her in it. And I got to tell Brian, I'll tell the whole world right now, listen, we all have lists. We all have celebrities that we would like to do, essentially. My girlfriend, she has her list, and she has Gerard Butler as her number 1. And you're probably thinking to yourself, out of all the actresses in the world, who's my number 1? Believe it or not, it is Kate Winslet. I've loved her ever since I saw her in Titanic. And it's not just because she was nude. Of course, that did help. No, there's something sexy about the way she carries herself, and just her performances and stuff. Oh man, she's my number 1 for sure. So, Brian, before we get into your thoughts about Kate Winslet, what are your thoughts about me choosing Kate Winslet as my number 1? I'm
not going to argue with you.
Okay, there you go.
No, absolutely not. Not going to argue with you.
Yeah,
she's easily in my top 3. Top 3 for sure. Now, here's my question, because Kate has like different hair colors in almost every single film she's in. Which character would you like to sleep with the most? Which one for characters?
Titanic for sure. Rose, hands down. And I think it has something to do with just the way she carried herself, her hair, the clothes she wore and stuff. Because it was back in the I don't know my history. Don't sue me if I get it wrong. It's the 20s, right, or the late teens.
1910s.
The 1910s. So I was close. I realized that Titanic was a major event. I just don't know the exact date. Sue me. I think that is the character for sure. I would not want to date her character from Eternal Sunshine. No, no way. I think Kate Winslet is a treasure among Hollywood. And so, Brian, when you think of Kate Winslet, and do you get excited when you see her in a movie? Like, what is your overall thoughts about her?
Of course I get excited to see her in the film, not only because she's beautiful, but she really is easily one of the best actresses we've ever had. And also, something I think we might bring up later, but I kind of wanted to bring it up now. Kate Winslet is so good with doing different accents. Like, she can nail almost any accent she does. She could do a terrific American accent. She could do one hell of a good Polish accent like she did in Steve Jobs. The brief review of 999, I mean, her Russian accent might have been a little off to some people. I actually really liked her Russian accent. I thought she did a decent Russian accent in that movie. But she is like easily one of those actresses that I'm always looking forward to seeing in any film that she does, whether it be a comedy, drama, action, sci-fi, mystery, western, anything that she's in. I'm always excited to see specifically what she brings to the film that she's in.
Yeah, I like I said, she's just a classic actress, and I think like later down the line, unfortunately, when she does pass, or like when Brian and I pass, or our generations pass, or whatever, I think she will be regarded as one of the best of all time. She just will, and she just keeps getting better and better and better. And believe it or not, to give you guys a little history on her, she's only been acting since the '90s. Like her first movie role wasn't even until like I think 1993 or 1994. It's crazy how like I figured like when you look at her, you're just like, oh, she's been in the game since the 80s or 70s. It's like, no, she's fairly new to this. So, yeah, I mean, technically she's only been acting as long as I've been alive, because I think her first role was like in a television series in like 1990 or 91, I forgot. So she's only been acting for like 25, 26 years. So that's pretty impressive. But before we get into our list, a little game I want to play with Brian. I did not bring this up in front of him, so I'm just going to lay it on him, and he usually doesn't like anything I bring up on him, but that's okay. He'll get over it. All right, so Brian, excluding Titanic and the Divergent movies, what is the biggest profitable movie that she's been in besides Titanic and the Divergent series? What do you think? What do you think it is?
Oh fuck.
It's hard, isn't it? Without
I don't know.
It's Contagion.
Okay.
Yeah, Contagion, and then everything. I'm looking at our list. Everything else is like in the 20s, 30s, and teens, and that's so disappointing because she chooses very good roles, and we'll get to one of them on my list for sure. But another thing I need to bring up for all you listening to this episode, and for Brian especially, I was looking at our list today before the show started. I feel really ashamed. I've only seen 6 of her movies, so 5 of them by default have to be on there, and it's kind of sad. Like I've never seen The Reader. I've never seen Revolutionary Road. What are some other bigger ones she's been in?
You said Contagion.
Contagion. Well, I've seen that one. So yeah, no, I've only seen 6, and I feel bad because like I love her. Like I like she's one of my favorite actresses ever, and it's just sickening to me that as a film fan I've only seen 6 of them. But guys, there's thousands of movies out there. I can only watch so many. But I will watch like movies like Revolutionary Road and The Reader and stuff, because I heard she was pretty great in those. So yeah, I need to get up on my shit. And I'm gonna let you guys know right now before we get started. I know this is a long intro. Brian and I will have the same number 1. We just are. So we will talk about it in unison. But until then, we have 5 through 2 to talk about. So we'll do our list, and we'll do honorable mentions, dishonorable mentions, and then Brian will introduce next week. So without any further ado, number 5, Brian, number 5 for you for Kate Winslet films of all time.
Well, number 5 is Finding Neverland.
Okay, I never saw that one. That's one of the other ones I haven't seen.
So well, I mean, this isn't her movie necessarily. It's more Johnny Depp's film, but she plays a very important role to this film because her family is the inspiration to why J.M. Barrie writes Peter Pan. Like, if he never met the characters that Kate Winslet played, he would have never written Peter Pan, and Peter Pan would not exist. So, I mean, this is something special, but I love this film. It's a great biopic about the writing of Peter Pan. I think Johnny Depp was incredible in this film. He received his 2nd consecutive Best Actor nomination for this film. Some people could argue that this might be the best performance or most toned-down performance he's ever given. And I wouldn't be surprised if someone says this is the best performance he's ever given, because it is a really excellent performance. And I think the back and forth with him and Kate is beautiful, and it's a heartwarming, endearing film that I think everyone should check out. If you're a Peter Pan fan, you absolutely have to check out how Peter Pan was created, because it is a very special film. And I love the character of Peter Pan. I love the book. I've seen many adaptations of it. The recent one could go suck my ass. And This movie just is very well made. It was nominated for Best Picture. Like I said, Johnny Depp was nominated for Best Actor, and it introduced most of us to Freddie Highmore, who was terrific here, and then he reunited with Johnny Depp at Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Yuck. But now he's on Bates Motel, which is fucking fantastic. And yeah, Finding Neverland's my number 5. Check it out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I've never seen it, and I hear a lot of great underrated things about it. Like, I hear people talk about all the time in terms of it being one of those underrated movies that the majority don't even know about, but the hardcore fans that do love it, they are very outspoken about it. So I'll have to check it out. It sounds pretty great. So, and that's the one thing about Kate, too. She's really good in an ensemble cast. She really is. Like, there's only a few movies to her name where she's the main character. Other than that, she's either a duo with someone, like a Titanic with Leonardo DiCaprio, or she's an ensemble, like a 999 or Contagion or whatever. So I wonder if she'll actually be like her full leading self, and maybe it'll be like her and like 2 other supporting people. I don't know. But yeah, no, that's a good pick. I'll have to check it out. My number 5 is By Default. So I don't have much to say about it. I've only seen 6 films. So I was not going to put A Kid in King Arthur's Court on the list. So by default, I had to put 999. Is this the best movie ever? No, it's not. Is she very cartoony? Yeah, but here's where I'll back it up. Is that when we see her on screen, she's pretty threatening. Like, the whole time, like, she was a bitch in the movie, and I was like, oh my God, I want to kill her because she is a terrible person. So that's good. That's good on her part to convince us that she can play bad. And I actually want to see her play more villain roles in the future and not be in a YA novel adaptation like Divergent or whatever. Well, I guess I've seen 7 movies then because I saw Divergent, but I'm not putting it on the list. Yeah, no, 999 is just one of those movies. It's a very meh type of cop drama, but she serves her part, and she's very menacing as her villain. So I will give her that. But it is an ensemble movie, and she's just one piece of the puzzle. But overall, it's not a bad movie. It's a very good movie, very average type of cop thriller, and she was very evil. And I'm with Brian. I don't think she was like cartoony at all, even though I can see where some people might say that. So by default, because I didn't want to put the other 2 on there, is 999. So I know for a fact Brian did not put 999 on his list. So I mean, you don't need to talk about it. It's like you said, it's fine.
Yeah, it's meh. It's just meh.
Meh. I wouldn't rush out to theaters. I would say it's a good like Netflix movie. Like if you're like home and you have nothing else to watch, I think that'd be a perfect Netflix movie. All right, so number 4. Here we go. Brian, kick it off.
Number 4, I don't think you've seen this one. Number 4 for me is Carnage.
Was that the one directed by Roman Polanski?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't see that one, but I almost did. And that also has David Cross in it?
No, I'll list off the people. So it's her, Christoph Waltz, John C. Reilly, and Jodie Foster.
Okay, I'm thinking of a different movie. Yeah. Okay, I remember what you're talking about now. So I've never seen that one. I kind of wanted to, but I could never find it. So sell me.
Yeah, it's a pretty hard one to find.
Sell me and the people listening to this episode on it. Why is this a good one?
It is a very entertaining film. It's only 80 minutes long. It flies by that quickly. And I gotta be honest, before I get into this film, I'm not really the biggest Roman Polanski fan. I mean, yeah, The Pianist is a fucking masterpiece. That film is amazing on every single level, but I do not like that man whatsoever. I think he's one of the weirdest people on the entire planet. I'm not gonna go into what he's done, but he's something else. He's something else. But he is still a great filmmaker nonetheless. Everyone is on their A game here. This Kate Winslet does a very good job here, but in my opinion, the best one is Christoph Waltz. He is entertaining. His laugh, like he always goes on his phone and he laughs like a pig. Like he's like it's hilarious. And yeah, he can't stop getting on the phone. What happens is Kate Winslet and Christoph Waltz kid gets into a fight with John C. Reilly and Jodie Foster's kid, and then they have to go to the one of their apartments to finalize all this, and then there's all this bickering and stuff. It's really entertaining. It's consistently entertaining. There's one point where Kate Winslet froze up on one of Jodie Foster's stuff, and it's so entertaining. And everyone does a great job here. It's a very entertaining movie. It's really underrated. I love all these actors, and I really think this movie is very underrated. I think it was one of my favorite films of 2011. I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it when it came out on cable, and it was pretty great. It's really great. I highly recommend it. If you guys are Roman Polanski fans, like people who love the crap out of his films, definitely check this out. This is one of his most underrated films. And yeah, it's like a 5 out of 5, A+ movie for me. I love it. Check it out if you haven't seen it.
Would you say it's kind of like on the entertaining level of like a dysfunctional family type of movie?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
perfect.
They're all fucked up in every single way, shape, or form. All 4 of these characters are effed up in every way possible, and it's brilliant.
I love movies like that. Like that's why I like Shameless so much, because it's a dysfunctional family that's so fucked up. But you know, at the end of the day, they're all family. They all love each other, even though they're not a typical family. So yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, my number 4. Speaking of ensembles again, it's Contagion. I remember when I saw Contagion for the first time in theaters, it terrified me, and it still terrifies me to this day. I think what Soderbergh did, Steven Soderbergh, he created this like really realistic type of biological warfare movie that's like terrifying, because this movie came out before Ebola broke out and people lost their shit, even though nothing fucking happened. Everyone calmed down. However, if something does happen like that, it is scary, because if there's no cure for it and it's, replicating and attaching to people, quicker than viruses can usually replicate and duplicate and all that crap, it's scary. It really is. And I think with the bleakness of Contagion, it's realistic, and it's something that if this were to happen, it would happen kind of like this and stuff. And I love the drama between everyone. And it's an ensemble cast. Once again, Matt Damon's in there, Gwyneth Paltrow, Lawrence Fishburne, just a bunch of people. And Kate Winslet's also in there. It is one of my favorite Soderbergh movies. I know it's weird to say, but like, I don't know. I liked it for the realism that it brought, and the darkness that it brought as well. So, yeah, Contagion, number 4. I mean, it's not like, one of my favorite movies ever, but as far as a Kate Winslet movie goes, I enjoyed it because it's actually terrifying than most horror films. So, Brian, what do you have to say about Contagion?
I think it's a pretty good film. It terrifies the crap out of me. I never want to watch it again because I don't want to get sick. I can't handle it. My favorite thing about this whole movie, and like the trailers, I just love it when it's centered on Matt Damon's character. He's like, "Can I go see my wife?" And he's like, "Your wife is dead." He's like, "What are you talking about? What happened to her?" Like, I thought it was really funny, even though it wasn't supposed to be. But yeah, it's a pretty good film.
What Brian's basically saying is he laughs at death and
No, I laugh at Matt Damon yelling.
That just means Brian's very cynical, and that just means he's really dangerous around a hospital. Like, he'd probably just be laughing at everyone. That's really gross. See, he's mouthing off because he's. I caught him in his little act. So, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is another movie you haven't seen. That's Revolutionary Road.
Okay, I've heard great. That is the one with Leo, right? Or is that the Reader?
The Revolutionary Road is the one with Leo.
Got it.
This one is easily one of the most depressing films I've ever seen in my life, but it's so fucking good. My God, Sam Mendes directed this film. At the time, he was married to Kate Winslet, and
oh, lucky him.
Yeah, lucky him, and he must have felt weird when Leo and Cade had some scenes. So he was probably like, all right, take it easy, Leo, take it easy. But no, it's a great film. This is what marriage looks like, and this is part of the reason why I don't want to get married at all. I don't want to be like their characters. Their characters' names are Frank and April, which I also think is funny because Leonardo DiCaprio played the character named Frank in my favorite film of his, Catch Me If You Can. I think that's pretty funny. It's about a couple in the 50s. Yeah, they have a lot of marriage problems and stuff. And it really is a well-written, well-directed, and incredibly well-acted film. DiCaprio was on his A-game. Winslet was great. This was the same year as The Reader, a film that's not on my list. I will bring this up in just a bit. I think Kate should have gotten double nominations, one for this and one for The Reader. She won for The Reader. She should have gotten one for this as well. But she did win 2 Golden Globes in the same year for this and The Reader, which I thought was pretty cool. And, yeah, there's a scene where she and Leo, like, arguing halfway through the film. And like she screams at one point, then Leo, you know, when Leo screams, it's kind of entertaining because he squints his eyes and stuff. But like, it's really like terrifying. And I don't think anyone could have played these two roles like Leo and Kate Winslet did. And also Michael Shannon kills it here. Just wanted to bring him up, give him a shout out. So yeah, Revolutionary Road, excellent, heartbreaking, depressing film, but it's great. It's my number 3.
I'll have to definitely check it out because I remember when that and The Reader both came out. It was like a double header with the Winslet, and you know, I feel bad because I haven't checked out either one of those, but I definitely will for sure. So my number 3. I'm going to go with Titanic. Listen, I don't know why people shit on this movie or James Cameron for that matter. I'm going to back the man up right now. I have liked everything he's done, and I haven't seen Piranha 2, so that's probably the worst one he's done. But every movie I've seen from him, Aliens, True Lies, Avatar, Titanic, Terminator 2, I have liked everything this guy has done. And Titanic to me is just, it's an epic romance. It just is. It's set in a disaster. Is it like, you know, a very emotionally invested romance? No. But I can still connect with these characters, and I can still see where they're coming from and their struggles they have to do to keep themselves, you know, together during this disastrous event and stuff. And it is kind of heartbreaking to see. But, you know, when we get to number 1, I'll let you know about that. But as far as this one goes, it's just an epic romance. I love the way this thing is shot. For a movie that came out in 1997 or 98, I forgot which year, the movie cost $200 million. That is a shit ton by today's standards. And it is still, you know, as of right now, the second highest grossing movie worldwide of all time. There's a reason why. It kind of reminded me of like a Gone with the Wind, on how that kind of like swept with audiences and people just kept going back and back to see it. When that movie came out in theaters, it had replay value, which is strange because the movie is 3.5 hours long. Usually with the replay value, you have a movie like a Deadpool that's like, you know, it's an hour and 40 minutes. It flies by, and you want to go see it again. Or like, you know, like in Avengers, yeah, it's like 2.5 hours, but that's okay because it's fun, it's exciting. Or like a Jurassic World, that was like 2 hours, but people kept going back and back. I never understood why people went to go back to see Titanic because it is 3.5 hours long. But hey, that's the power of the movie for you. It was iconic. It had so many iconic scenes, music, the acting, lines, everything. That thing was a pop culture icon, and I love it. I do. I have it sitting in my collection right over there next to my other James Cameron movies. I just like it a lot. And I think her playing Rose, because let's face it, I think, like I said, her first movie was like in 1993 or 1994. I looked up her list. Titanic was like her 6th movie ever. And she got catapulted into the limelight because this was the movie that kind of brought her into the forefront, just like it did with Leo, even though Leo was in stuff before. But this movie propelled both of them, and Kate Winslet became America's sweetheart overnight with this movie. And to this very day, I have never understood, MPAA, fucking listen up. So you're going to tell me that you are going to rate a movie NC-17 for showing, like, I don't know, like a fucking ball sack or like a nut hair, but you're going to give Titanic a PG-13 rating when it clearly has full frontal nudity. Yeah, granted, the vagina is covered by a sketchbook, but for the most part, she's fucking naked as shit. And you're going to rate that PG-13? MPA, what the fuck are you doing? You don't make any sense half the time. But I enjoy it, though, because when you were 13 years old, you could go see some boobs on the big screen. So I have to ask Brian, because you don't have to talk about this, because I'm assuming it's on your list. Did you see the 3D re-release of Titanic?
Yeah.
I am so jealous because I missed it. And I really wanted to see it on the big screen for the first time because I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it when my parents bought you guys remember this, double VHS cassette pack. Like that's how I watched it and stuff. So how was it in theaters, man? Like I'm jealous. Like I really wish I caught it, man.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. I'm
easily one of my favorite experiences in the theater and IMAX.
That's fucking awesome, man. So yeah, Titanic's my number 3. So with that being said, if I already know Brian's number 1, he's only got one slot left. There's 2 movies I know going through his mind right now. And I think he put Titanic as number 2.
My number 2 is indeed Titanic.
Interesting. Okay, so floor is yours.
I love this fucking film. I don't care what people say. I love it to death. I think it's amazing. I think it's well acted. I think it's well directed. The music by the late great James Horner is gorgeous. My Heart Will Go On, beautiful song by Celine Dion. Visually, the film is immaculate. I don't know how. I still don't get how they did it, but they managed to do it perfectly. Yes. All right, let's be real. Did this film deserve Best Picture? Not necessarily, but for when you give it for how it was made, it definitely did deserve the award for Best Picture.
Yeah.
And Kate Winslet was fantastic here as Rose. She definitely earned this role perfectly well. She was a woman. She wasn't someone that you could just squeeze and she would break, but she was a woman. She was brave. She was bold. She was the kind of woman that you would want to be with in the situation like this. She really had excellent chemistry with Leo. The character of Rose is just, I mean, what guy would not want to be with Rose? Not only is she incredibly sexy, but like I said, she is a very respectful, endearing woman. She doesn't like what she's going through. She doesn't like that she has to be the rich girl who has to marry some evil guy named Billy Zane. But, you know, like, I don't get why people hate it. I don't understand. It's not a romance film. It's an epic romance disaster film. Is there a romance? Yes. For the first hour and a half. For the first half of the movie. Then the second half is the disaster when the Titanic is fucking sinking. Relax. Just watch the fucking film. Stop calling it a girl film. It is not a girl film in any way, shape, or form. Here, you know what a girl film is? A chick flick. Is this a chick flick? No fucking way. This is not a chick flick. Do chicks love this film? Absolutely. But still, there are a lot of guys who like this film. You just listen to viewers. You just listen to 2 people who said, we like Titanic. So Titanic is a great film. I love it to death. I've watched this movie so many times. And honestly, I can rewatch this film anytime ever, honestly. Yeah, it's 3.5 hours long. Yes, the last act is upsetting as fuck. But it's still a very incredibly well-made film. And I do have it in my collection right there next to Terminator and Terminator 2. So 3 James Cameron films in a row. I think that's pretty dope. But yeah, Titanic is my number 2. It's a great film, but really, James Horner's score just, that to me is the best aspect of the whole film, other than the visuals. That score just breaks my heart. Incredible score. Yeah,
it's a haunting score. And listen, I have never understood the beef with James Cameron. I just don't. Is Titanic my favorite one? No. My favorite one is actually True Lies or Terminator 2. I flop back and forth, but I just don't understand the hate. Like, I like Avatar a lot. It's a good movie. Is it my favorite movie? No. But god damn it, it's a good movie. I don't understand why, it's fucking Pocahontas or Dance. Who gives a fucking shit? Like, there's many movies that rip off other many fucking movies. Like, I just want to have a fucking aneurysm every single time. Like, I never understood. He's an epic filmmaker. He is visually stunning. James Cameron's visually stunning. No, his films are visually stunning. Like, he knows how to make a fucking movie. He knows how to make an epic movie. I've never understood the fucking hate for James Cameron. Maybe it is because he's got the 2 spots for the biggest movies of all time worldwide. Maybe that's why. And maybe other movies are more deserving. I get that. But you know what? He knows how to make films that connects with audiences. So he's a great businessman. He's basically like the A+ version of Michael Bay. I'm not even joking. Michael Bay, whatever you think of him, he's a great businessman. And he knows how to market his movies, and his movies make bank. James Cameron's the same way, except he makes movies that have better stories and better dialogue and characters. So there's that. but he knows how to market his movies to a wide audience. Avatar came out of nowhere. It fucking just it was thrown into theaters and people loved it. They kept going back. That's the thing with him. He knows how to make movies that have replay value, and people keep going back and back, and they keep telling their friends. That's exactly how Titanic was back in the 90s. Like, people saw it like, oh my God. They went to work and talked to at the water cooler the next day, like, yo, you need to see that Titanic movie. That's the same way it was with Avatar. James Cameron's smart. He's a great businessman, great filmmaker. I don't understand the hate. So, Brian, you putting in Titanic at number 2, I'm actually curious as to why you didn't put my number 2 as your number 2, because obviously I'm right. I just, because you like the movie a lot, so you might have to defend your answer a little bit.
It almost made the list. I couldn't put it on. All the other films I put on, I just love so much more than this particular film. But I do love the film that you put it as your number 2, because it is one of my favorite films of the year that it came out. It was in my top 5 of the year that it came out. So, can I say it? Can I say the film?
Brian, what's my number 2?
Your number 2 is Steve Jobs.
That's right. I bought it the other day, and I've said this to Brian. I've said it in my podcast, and I said it in my review. I'll say it again. Steve Jobs is a fantastic film, and Michael Fassbender kills it as Steve Jobs. However, my favorite aspect about the movie is actually the supporting cast around it. I like Kate Winslet a lot, Seth Rogen, and Jeff Daniels. Them 3 alone trump Fassbender, but that's just my opinion, though, and that's why Fassbender is not going to win the Oscar, like some people believe he will. He's not. Just calm down. I believe the supporting cast has a lot more emotional weight to the film than Fassbender. Don't get me wrong, Fassbender's great in the movie, and he's very swift with his dialogue. He's on point with his cues. He hits that film so perfectly, it's outstanding that Fassbender has not won an Oscar yet. But the supporting cast, from Jeff Daniels being the dick that he was, to Seth Rogen's support like he was, or Kate Winslet's support in the film, the way she broke down at the end of the movie, which is why she's my pick for the supporting actress this year. Her arc in the movie is great. It's just like Steve Jobs, where, at the very beginning, you see that she's a very dedicated assistant type person to Steve Jobs, and she's in it. She's a friend to Steve Jobs. There's a little bit of chemistry there, so you don't know what's going on, but you know that it's a good, functioning, healthy relationship. And in the middle of the movie, she's getting a little bit worn down by Steve Jobs' arrogance. And at the very end, she just can't take it anymore. She fucking flies off the handle at him, with his daughter and stuff. And I'm just like, fuck yes, that is correct. Steve Jobs, you better listen to her. So, it's just one of those performances that it stood out to me last year as one of my favorite supporting actress roles. She is my pick to win the Oscar. It's a great movie. It's kinetic. It's fast. She is engaging. I love her relationship with Michael Fassbender. She is fantastic in the movie. And like I said, I love the supporting cast. Like Seth Rogen. My boy Seth Rogen pulled off an Aaron Sorkin script. Loved it. So Steve Jobs is my second favorite Kate Winslet film. So, Brian, why? Why did you not put Steve Jobs on here?
I love all the other films I put on here. I couldn't take on Finding Neverland. I love that film to death.
Why?
I couldn't do it. I'm sorry.
Steve Jobs is so fucking awesome.
I have it right there. And you know what movie it's right next to? It's next to Straight Outta fucking Compton. Like,
it's also fucking awesome. Listen.
It's right there.
Oh, okay, I'll give Brian a pass on this one. But what I will not give a pass on is you, the public. I have the numbers right here. Steve Jobs cost $30 million to make. Now, to make profit, you got to basically double the budget because, the theaters got to take their cut and you have to add on advertising costs. So I would say anywhere from like 60 to 70 million, they needed to break even. Worldwide, as in the whole fucking world, obviously, 34 million. Domestically, US and Canada, it only made 17 million.
Oh.
And you know what's really fascinating about Steve Jobs? I'm going to go on a little rant here for a second. I saw it opening weekend when it came out. I still remember it was like the weirdest combination. I did Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension, and I did Steve Jobs afterwards. So it was a weird day. However, I saw Paranormal Activity, which is a built-in franchise. It was me and two other people in the theater. I saw Steve Jobs right afterwards. It was a packed theater with 200 plus people in there. I was like, all right, this movie's going to make some money. No, where the fuck are these people at? Where did these people, did they just hide in their homes this weekend? Why did this movie not get more recognition than it deserves? It is one of the best movies last year, and it just blows my mind that it didn't make dick for money. And you're probably thinking to yourself, because I looked this up because you're thinking the same thing as me. Did the Ashton Kutcher movie affect it? No, it didn't, because the Ashton Kutcher movie only made about 36 worldwide. So it did just as poorly. So I don't think it was because of the other movie before it. I think it was because people are just not interested in Steve Jobs. I think that's what it boils down to, which is ironic because I am filming this podcast on the Mac. I have a fucking iPhone right here. People have Apple products out the fucking wazoo, and they were still not interested in a Steve Jobs movie. So before we get into our number one, Brian, why do you think this movie failed? And do you think it had to do something with Steve Jobs? Do you think it had something to do with the other movie? What was it?
Because people suck. That's why they suck. But like, you know what's so stupid about this whole box office thing? I remember when the movie was coming out and some people were like, oh, I'm not going to see it because the guy playing him does not look like Steve Jobs. What does that have to do with anything?
What
does that have to do with anything?
That
has nothing to do with the film being good or bad.
As long as the performance is good, I don't give a shit what they look like. They could have gotten fucking Pauly Shore to play Steve Jobs, but you know what? By the power of all fuck, if Pauly Shore gave an Oscar-worthy performance, I praise his fucking performance, not the way he fucking looks. Who gives a shit? I don't care if Michael Fassbender doesn't look like him. And you know what? I actually liked the Jobs movie before with Ashton Kutcher, and it did help that he looked like him. And it did help that he walked like him. It helped that he was him. But Michael Fassbender gave the better performance. That's just the way it goes. I don't care what he looks like.
Exactly. I don't know. It came out at a wrong time, honestly. It came out at a really bad time, to be quite honest. It came out in October. It didn't come out on a good weekend. I remember that weekend being like one of the worst weekends in like film from last year, because the same weekend we had Last Witch Hunter, which I think was the biggest movie that weekend. Then we had Paranormal Activity. We had Gem and the Shitgrams and
Rock the Casbah.
Rock the Casbah. Like that was a terrible weekend. That was an awful weekend.
Brian's correct. Like the second half of October was one of the worst 2 weeks I've ever seen in Hollywood. And that was also, wasn't that no, that was a different month, but like We Are Your Friends bombed, Jim and the Holograms bombed, Rock the Casbah bombed. I don't know what it was about last year, but maybe that stench just like affected Steve Jobs. And like people are saying, I think the Jobs movie before affected it didn't. I just read you the numbers. The Jobs movie only made 36 worldwide. It made around the same amount. So I think it was just because it came out around a bad time. People just didn't want to go see it. And I think people are honestly not interested in Steve Jobs. The only reason Brian and I were interested in the movie because we know the filmmakers behind it. When you mix Danny Boyle and Aaron Sorkin, you have a magical fucking movie. So that's why we went to go see it and we were blown away. But I honestly think people were just not interested in Steve Jobs. I mean, that's just the way it boils down. So that's a damn shame, man, because, I mean, me and Brian both supported it in theaters, and we both bought the Blu-ray. So, I mean, it just astounds me that this movie didn't make more money because it's – I don't want to say the word classic, but I think it will go down as one of the better movies in the latter half of the 2000s from America. I just think it will. Just like with The Social Network, which I think is one of those movies as well. Aaron Sorkin, man, he just makes classics, and it just kind of irritates me that this movie didn't make more. So anyways, enough of that topic. Guys, there comes a time where a movie comes out, and it kind of hits you in a certain way, and it kind of affects you in a certain way. It makes you think about stuff. It could be from the way it was told. It could be from the way it was shot. It could have been from the stories, the character. Something clicks with you to where it kind of puts you in a different mindset. Now, me and Brian's number one. I don't know how Brian feels about this, but it is one of my favorite movies of all time. It is one of my favorite movies in my collection, and is one of the best and more realistically romance movies I've ever seen. This is a movie where it takes a concept and elevates it to a different level to where we can all relate to it despite it looking and being creative and weird. It's one of those movies that everyone needs to see, especially if you go through a breakup, because this is the type of movie that will speak out volumes to those type of people. Brian, what is our number one?
Our number one is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
You bet your fucking ass, man. Listen, I'll go first. I'll make it short and brief. First of all, I don't understand why Jim Carrey hasn't won an Oscar for his dramatic work. Between this, The Truman Show, and A Man on the Moon.
Why the fuck was he not nominated for this?
I don't know.
That pisses me off.
Now, Kate. Now, look, to be fair though, I'm glad this movie got some recognition because Kate Winslet was nominated. But Brian's right. What the fuck, Academy? This is one of the best romance movies to ever grace us in our presence, and this movie got dick. It didn't get anything, and it just astounds me. Wasn't it also nominated for original screenplay? I believe
it won original screenplay. I believe.
Perfect, which is good because it deserves it. It was written by Charlie Kaufman, who did Being John Malkovich and like adaptation. So he's a very creative writer. But yeah, I'm kind of upset that this movie didn't get more. But the relationship between Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet in the movie, without spoiling anything, essentially what happens is they break up. So a typical romance movie, that's fine. But there is a company that can actually get inside your head and erase memories of whatever you want to get erased. So it's a horrific movie because we've all been in those relationships where if things go shitty and we want to forget about those people, it's hard to do. It's hard to forget about people that we actually cared about. So in this movie, they take that concept and they completely wipe it away. And the way it was told from Michel Gondry's direction, it was so inventive and so creative and so weird that, first of all, it draws you by your eye. It's just automatically visually stunning. But then the subject matter is so intriguing because we've all been there. We want to forget about our fucking exes, but we can't. But this movie makes it possible, and it's just even more the heartbreaking because you know in the beginning of the movie, they had that chemistry. It was there, but we know as an audience, and they knew it as well, even though they loved each other, it was a destructive relationship. And those are the hardest ones to get rid of because you know that you love this person, but deep down, you're not right for each other. And at the end of the movie, I'm not going to spoil it, but it kind of leaves you in kind of like that state of, okay, so are things going to move forward positively for this couple, or are they going to regress back and go negatively again? It's one of those open-ended movies that's just like, you don't know what's going to happen, but you know that if they go through with this again, it's going to be the same thing over and over again. But that's what makes it more powerful. And I love movies like that, like romance movies, to where couples know that it's going to end badly, but they keep going back to each other because there's just that attraction there. And that's what Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet had. And I got to ask Brian, before he gets into his, Brian, do you like multicolored haired Kate Winslet? I think she's kind of hot.
I do. I like it.
Yeah, she.
I rocked.
Yeah. She has multiple color hairs in the movie, which is, Jim Carrey even says that. He's like, wasn't your hair this color? She's like, I like changing it. I don't like keeping things the same for a long period of time. But yeah, it's one of those romance movies that just gets you. It just does. Everyone can relate to it. Everyone. And it's just, it's one of the best ever made, man. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's one of my favorite romance movies. If you guys have not checked this out, for the love of God, go check this out. Brian, take it away.
I love this film as well. I think it's fantastic. It's not one of my favorite films ever made, but I could tell you that it might just be one of the best films ever made. Charlie Kaufman's script for this movie is simply one of the best scripts, in my opinion, ever written in the history of film. Ever. Just this screenplay is so special because of the subject that it covers, and it has elements of so many different genres, including comedy. The movie's very funny. The movie's very upsetting, so it has drama. It has the romance element, and it has some sci-fi in it, which I think is perfectly executed in this film. I think it's something very different. Now, when I first saw this movie a long time ago, it wasn't my cup of tea. I wasn't into it. I loved Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet in it. I remember the first time, but I wasn't like, it's okay. It's nothing special. I watched it again a few years later, and I was like, this movie is fantastic. I understand why everyone loves it. I love it now too. I wish I had it in my collection. I need to find it somewhere on Blu-ray. I don't want it on DVD. I really want it on Blu-ray because this is a beautiful looking film. The opening credits with Jim Carrey crying in the car break my heart because this is, like you say, I think this is Jim Carrey's best performance ever. And I love him as a comedic actor, but I want to see him do more dramatic stuff like this film. And like I said before, it is a snub. It is a crime that he was not nominated for Best Actor. Now, granted, every other Best Actor nominee that year was great. Would he have won the Oscar? Probably not, because I don't think anyone had a chance of being Jamie Foxx for Ray. But if I had to take someone out and put Jim Carrey in, I probably would have taken out Clint Eastwood for $1 Million Baby. Clint Eastwood was great. He did a fantastic job directing the film and producing it, so he didn't have to be nominated for his performance, but I get why, because the other two were nominated. But still, Jim Carrey should have been nominated for this film. But Kate Winslet as Clementine was fantastic. Her character was insane, but you felt for her. You knew where she was coming from, and I don't think anyone could have played this role as well as Kate Winslet did. And then you have other really talented supporting actors, including Mark Ruffalo, Elijah Wood, Tom Wilkinson, and Kristen Dunst. This is very well, and David Cross is in this too, and he's pretty entertaining for his stuff in the movie too. So Eternal Sunshine, like you said, everything is just perfect. You don't know where it's going to go. That hallway sequence is my personal favorite scene of the entire film. That's my favorite scene in the film, and you don't see films like this anymore. You don't, and
that's why I like Charlie Kaufman as a writer, because he's so original. And
exactly,
believe it or not, like me and Brian have both seen this movie, but the romance in this it reminded me of what he did for Anomalisa and how authentic and natural that felt. So like he knows romance, man. I
agree.
This is really bad for me to say, but I think if you go through a breakup, I think you'll appreciate this movie more. I just think you will, and I think you'll understand like where they were coming from, why it is the way it is, and just how heartbreaking it is when you watch it. Because we've all been through breakups. I've been through several. And every time I watch this movie, I understand it. And when I watched it for the first time, I was just blown away. I love it, man. And you know what's really fascinating about Jim Carrey is that he's in 2 movies, or he's actually in 3 movies that are in my favorites of all time. He's in this one, The Truman Show, and Dumb and Dumber. And it's fascinating to me that this man has never won an Oscar.
Or been nominated.
Or been nominated. Like, this and The Truman Show are ridiculous. Like, ridiculously good. And it's just, what the fuck, Academy? So, especially, like, even movies like Man on the Moon, which is great in its own character, it bugs me. So, yeah, guys, I can't praise this movie more than enough. And I'm with Brian. I actually have it on DVD, but when I find it for cheap on Blu-ray, I'm definitely going to swap out because it is one of those movies visually that you want on Blu-ray. And plus, who doesn't want to see Kate Winslet's multicolored hair in HD? I do. With the writer as well, Charlie Kaufman. I know Brian liked it, and I would recommend Anomalisa as well, his newest film. So if you guys haven't seen that, check it out. It's nominated for Best Animated Picture, even though we know Inside Out's going to take it. However, if Inside Out was not existent this year, Anomalisa would take this in a heartbeat. It is that good of a movie, and Charlie Kaufman knows relationships. So if you liked Anomalisa and you actually already saw it, and you've never seen Eternal Sunshine, check it out. I think you'll like it. So here's our list for this week, guys. For top 5 Kate Winslet films, we have Eternal Sunshine as number 1. I got Steve Jobs. We both have Titanic, and then Brian's got 3 of them that I need to catch up on. And then I don't want to talk about my bottom 2 because I was forced to. With that being said, I can't do honorable mentions. A King and Kid Arthur's Core and Divergent are the only 2 I've seen to be on the list. So, Brian, you're going to have to take this section away.
All right, honorable mention, Steve Jobs, Contagion. I don't love The Reader. I think it's a fine film, but I will mention it because it is the film she won the Oscar for, and she is fantastic here, and she did a killer German accent in it. I really like The Holiday. I don't know why a lot of people don't care for that film. I actually really like that film. It's very charming. It's her, Cameron Diaz, Jude Law, and Jack Black. I think it's a really charming movie. And you already know that I love Flushed Away. Like I don't know. We've been talking about that film a lot ever since our Hugh Jackman episode. My love for that film has been coming back. I really wanted to rewatch it. I have it on DVD somewhere downstairs in my basement, but I really want to watch it again so badly.
Brian, it's pretty scary that like one of your favorite movies involves toilets and rats. So I mean,
it's not one of my favorite movies. It's just I just love it for what it is. Like it's not
Brian,
one of my favorites.
Brian loves movies with toilets and rats. It's okay. He is a fucking rat. Brian, do it. Brian's from Jersey, so he can do the accent.
What? Sure.
Talk about. Okay, I'll tell you what. Talk about Flushed Away in like a Boston accent. Like the fucking rat went down the fucking toilet.
He's a fuck. No, I can't. I need to say car. A rat went to the fucking car, and then they went to the bar, and then they went to the pack, and then he ate some cheese. I offended everyone from Boston out there. I apologize. I know a good amount of people from Boston. I just offended them. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's great.
I'm sorry.
So
those are all my honorable mentions.
Okay, so I think me and Brian can collectively say what our dishonorable mention is. There's only one. Movie 43. That thing needs to go fucking die in a fire somewhere. I don't know why anyone agreed to do that. And believe it or not, people actually agreed to do it because of Kate Winslet and Hugh Jackman. So,
oh god,
fuck that movie.
But so I have 4 dishonorable mentions. 4.
4. Okay, what do you got?
Okay, I have All the King's Men, which is a film with her and Sean Penn. Really disappointing. The cast is amazing. You have a great ensemble cast, but the film sucks and it's very mediocre. Both divergent films so far. I don't like these films. I know there are a good amount of people out there who like them for what they are, and I like Kate Winslet in them, but I don't care. The only things that I like about these 2 films are Shailene Woodley and Kate Winslet, and sadly, Kate Winslet's not going to be in the new ones. Spoiler alert, something happens to her in Insurgent. Oops, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I just don't care about these films. And Labor Day with Jason Reitman, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't that
was awful.
It wasn't. I didn't hate it, but I was just like, it's whatever. Kate Winslet was great in it. She was very good, as was Josh Brolin. But like the film was so slow and it was kind of dragged. I think Jason Reitman might be going downhill a little bit. I mean, I didn't see Men, Women, and Children. I know you like that film, but a lot of people didn't like it. So I don't know if he's ever going to rise back up to the Juno and Up in the Air days. But who knows? But my worst is movie 43. This movie is atrociously horrendous. Don't know why this was made. Easily one of the worst films I've ever seen. The skit that she's in is just horrendous. Hugh Jackman has a scrotum from his chin. What is that all about? I'm sorry.
I don't fucking know.
I'm sorry. I mean, first they played rats together, and now they're on a date where she's still good looking. He has a scrotum hanging from his neck.
Oh, it's class A American comedy. I remember when me and my friend Josh, we went to go see it. I'm not even joking. We saw it on Thursday night at 7 p.m. And the trailer sucked me in. I was like, oh shit, they're gonna have like a lot of people here because people probably liked it and saw the trailer. It was me, him, and 2 other people. And the only part we laughed at, was the PSA with the kids and the vending machines and the faxes. That was kind of clever. I was like, okay, I kind of like that.
I don't remember who was in that skit. The only skit I remember liking was the Terrence Howard skit.
No one was in that PSA black and white skit. It was like all random people, and that was the funniest part. Because we have a dark sense of humor, and I just think it's funny that if kids are in vending machines and you put the dollar in and it comes back out, that means the kid like looked at it and put it back. I don't know. That's kind of funny to me. But yeah, that movie's garbage. Yeah, let's get into the next week section. So Brian, what are we doing next week?
Next week is also another very big, difficult episode. I don't know how it is going to be for Chase, but it's going to be difficult for me. Next week in honor of Zootopia, we're going to be honoring the Disney animated films.
Now, listen, I have okay, Brian, set the rules right now. Are we excluding Pixar?
Yes.
So no Pixar. Are we doing computer or hand-drawn or both?
Both. As long as it's labeled from Disney Animation Studios, like that particular company, you know, the logo where you see Steamboat Willie right before the movie begins.
Okay, so
like, you know what, like that particular thing, that particular company. So Pixar is not count because that's its own separate thing. And besides, we already did Pixar films, so we can't. If we included Pixar, I think our whole list would probably consist of mostly Pixar films. That's the thing. That would be the truth. But yeah, no Pixar films.
So we can have a list next week containing like an Aladdin and Frozen. We can do both.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that works. So yeah, next week's gonna be tough because me and Brian are 90s kids, and so we grew up. Well, especially me. I literally grew up in that renaissance from Little Mermaid to Aladdin, from 89 to 93 or 94. I was in that age range, so. It's going to be really interesting to see if we put more older ones on there, if we put newer ones on there, because I can tell you right now, out of the recent resurgence Disney has had since Tangled, I've got one of them out of the 4 that have come out that's going to be on that list. And
Same.
So,
and if we both see Zootopia before the episode, will that make our list? I doubt it, but I'm sure it's going to be one hell of a good film.
Yeah, I'll try to check it out before the show, but actually, no, next week I'll talk to Brian off here, but next week I will not catch that. But yeah, so that is it for this week's episode, guys. Top 5 Saturdays Live is wrapped up and good to go for the Kate Winslet episode. So my question to you is, what is your favorite or least favorite Kate Winslet film? If it's not movie 43 for the worst one, then you never saw movie 43, which is great. So comment that place, rub on my face, and let me know. So with that being said, Brian, where can people find you online?
Before I say that, we're both rooting for Kate Winslet tomorrow night. We're rooting for her. We are rooting for her tomorrow night. You guys can find me on Twitter at BrianSuts98 and on YouTube at Brian Sutfield.
Cool. His Twitter is right here, guys, and go subscribe to his YouTube channel because I will be on his Oscar Hangout tonight, and we will do all of our predictions. He's got many other guests on there. They're really cool people, so look out for that. And then for me, you can follow me at Real Chase Lee down there and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you are listening on Spreaker and iHeartRadio and you want a video version of this podcast to see me and Brian flail around, then you can click on that link in the description below. And if you are watching on YouTube and you want a audio-only version because you don't want to see our faces, then that's fine. That link will be in the description below as well. But yeah, that is it for this week, guys, for Top 5 Saturdays Live. Next week, Top 5 Disney animated films. This is going to be a bloodbath because we're going to have different answers, and it's going to be awesome. So we'll see you guys next week for another episode of this crazy-ass show. I'm Chase Lee.
I'm Brian Sutfield.
That's fucking right. And hey, the intro and outro music is done by my friends band Fervent Roze. Check them out. They're in Dallas. I'm going to play it right now for you guys. Peace out. Have a good Saturday. Bye-bye. Oh, Kate Winslet, my honey, come marry me. that was disturbing. All right, see you guys later.